Hello, I'm Ray Gibson from Art27. Art27 is a platform for artists, arts educators, and arts organisations working in Europe and beyond, sharing stories, cultural programmes, raising awareness of critical issues such as social inclusion. And today is October 5th, 2020, which is World Teachers' Day. And we're delighted to support this day with this live stream. Some fantastic projects and speakers like Darius is waiting patiently on the line over the next 1.5 hours. Darius, we'll get you introduced properly in a moment. I'm just going to read out a little statement from UNESCO, if I may, to set up the atmosphere and the theme for today, for World Teachers' Day. So this is a joint statement from Audrey Azoulay, Director General of UNESCO, Guy Ryder, Director General, International Labour Organization, and Henrietta H. Fore, Executive Director of UNICEF, David Edwards, General Secretary, Education International, on the occasion of World Teachers' Day. So 4 or 5 people wrote this. So in this crisis, which means, I believe, the pandemic, teachers have shown, as they have done so often, great leadership and innovation in ensuring that learning never stops, that no learner is left behind. Around the world, they have worked individually and collectively to find solutions and great new learning environments for their students to allow education to continue. Their role advising on school reopening plans and supporting students with the return to school is just as important. So that's a little statement from UNESCO. As a father of 2 boys that were being homeschooled very badly during the first wave of lockdowns this spring, I take my hat off to teachers because it seems easy from the outside until you have to manage a 5 and 7-year-old on your own. So welcome, Darius. So we'd love to get to know you better. Can you help our audience, please, and just say who you are, where you're from? I may say already you're owner and founder of Taxi Mundial Musics. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you, Ray, for the invitation and for the introduction. And hello, everybody, to the world. My name is Darius Darek. I was born in Poland in 1978, so 42 years ago, and went to school there for 4 years of the communistic era. This were the last 4 years of the communistic era until '89. And then when I was 12, I moved to Germany, where my musical education has begun as a bass player. And it was in a rural area here of Western Germany. And there I had 2 musical teachers who really inspired me. And they inspired very much my artistic expression and therefore also my way of life. And they showed to me that pop and rock music is not the only music I can play as a kid from a worker's family, not from an academic family. And they opened very much for me the whole diversity of music styles, from the European classic to jazz and to global music cultures. And when I was 21, I moved to Bonn, to Beethoven's home city, where I studied not music but geography, and I could experience the world of music as well through these studies, through my academic education, through my travels as a geographer, but as well as a student who lived in an international student house, where we had 13 different cultures living there together, but as well playing music together in the evening and listening to tracks of the other persons. And this also showed me the deep interconnectedness between the cultures, and as well through my geography studies between nature, society, and culture. And nowadays I'm a cultural manager and a DJ and a musician as well in a community orchestra. And I call myself a transformation designer, a networker, and last but not least, I'm a university lecturer at the Niederrhein University of Applied Sciences, where I work at the Department of Post-Migrant Culture Pedagogics. And there I combine my teachings about my practical work, which I do, with my vision on social justice, ecological transformation processes, and social cohesion.
Wow. Okay, what a background. And you've seen these challenges with teaching firsthand probably this year. How has it impacted your ability to pass on learnings and influence students?
Well, we had to do the online courses. This was the rule, and it's going to continue until next year as well. And the impact was quite good. I had some calls from the students about my experiences in some fields. For example, the biggest field was how to start events during the Corona crisis with all the administration questions you have, the distance questions, the distance between the musicians. And I told the students, you need to read all the information because this is the thing which can help you and the others to stay healthy, but as well to realize or to produce new events with the rules you have. And this impact was very much positive for them. And I saw already their Facebook events. They started the events in their cities, and so it was cool to see the inspiration and the help I could give them.
Super. Okay. And then if we look at this specific project or the organization, so Taxi Mundial Musics, how did that start?
Well, Taxi Mondial Music started when I finished my university career. It was in 2005, sorry. And I was working at the time. This was my first and only job as in a different company after my student time. I worked for Alba Kultur, which is a cultural organization in Cologne for global music. And I worked there half time, and the other half time I was already starting parties for global music and events with global musicians. And yeah, and I called my company Taxi Mundial Musics because I always experience when I enter a taxi in the world, there's always new music playing, and you
Ah,
experience the music of other cultures when you enter the taxi. And so you get really the deep music from the people who are living there, who are listening to music every day. And as well, a lot of my colleagues who studied geographies in different times, they started as a taxi driver. So it was like a little joke on what we geographers can do as well. We are good taxi drivers.
okay. So what is a typical month or what are the objectives of Taxi Mundial Musics?
We focus, and with we I mean a whole network of a lot of people. They cooperate with me around the world, and it depends on the project who is cooperating with me. The main two focuses are, first of all, cultural diversity, which means global musical expressions, especially in the field how the worldwide UNESCO statements expresses itself on this field.
Hmm.
And the second field is a new one. I focus on this since 5 years. It's socio-ecological transformation, and there I see my background very much from the geography, combining transformation processes nowadays through arts, in arts, and by arts. So these are the two fields.
Okay, and this is through events and workshops, or what mediums are you using?
Yeah. Well, we have different approaches, and for sure, it's music events first of all, like normal parties where people can meet, but not nowadays. That's clear. We had a party series since 15 years, which is called World Beat Party, where a lot of
Mm,
people from different cultures here in Bonn, the United Nations city, were getting together. Pretty much academic audience, but the first time that so many cultures met together, I can say, on the same dance floor. A lot of bicultural marriages came out of these parties.
all
So,
right.
um, and yes, and then we have projects like now I'm having a Beethoven project since 3 years on behalf of his 250th anniversary, where we support some socio-ecological transformation projects through music, through music expression, through production of music, and yeah, and the last point is that I'm focusing very much on community music, where I see the social impact on community music, which is not professional music, but it's amateur music. So yeah.
Right. Okay, so apart from these marriages and matchmaking, what other impacts have you seen? Because you mentioned earlier in this conversation post-migrant society as well. You see this as a direct link?
Well, the post-migrant society is a niche topic nowadays in Germany. I'm co-working with a professor. She's very deep into this topic, and for me, it wasn't clear that I'm living a post-migrant cultural life, because for me it's I see the problems of integration. I see the problems of racism, and all this exists. But I think as well a little bit beyond this, beyond identities, and see that the super complexity and super diversity we live is beyond this issues. And for me, the post-migrant cultural life is a topic which will come more and more in the next years, because it doesn't only focus on migration as a problem, or migration as a how to say, as a new issue. It's always been migration in the world. It was getting more and more, but nowadays it's like quite normal, and the changes in the cultural life through migration were always there. And to get new aspects in the field of social cohesion, and as well in the problems of climate change, we need to see that we are very much interconnected, and that we are living on the one planet, and whatever we do, it has always an impact on somebody else. And if we start to open more and more this topics on we are there and the others are there, we will never get to this point. So the theory of post-migrant culture and cultural life is very much about this interconnectedness. And so I feel they're very much at home, and I'm not focusing not too much on the theory, which is very important, but more on the practical approaches. And
Mm. Okay, very good. And you're also developing your curriculum at the university in line with these themes as well, right? In your university practice.
Well, the curricula is more made by my professor. How to say? Yeah, she's preparing them, and she's inviting me to co-work with her, to be there as a practical advisor and lecturer. It's as I said, it's a University of Applied Sciences, and so it's very much focusing on the practical side, beside the theoretical. For example, this semester the students have a theoretical part, the master students, and next semester they're gonna see my work here in Bonn and visit my projects. So, but I have as well like to say, like on the meta level, I have prepared something which we can maybe see now.
Yeah, good idea.
Something where you can see how my holistic approach can be seen.
Yeah, I think there's a slide or something we want to show. Is that right? Maybe we can bring that up, and you can talk us through it. Let's see if we can get that up on screen for you.
Cool.
Perfect. Okay, so we can see that. Yeah, can you talk us through what we're seeing here, Darius?
Yeah, let me check, because I don't have it. I don't see it now on my screen, but I will just open it up.
That's okay.
1 second. Sorry for the.
No problem.
So, yeah, I prepared a small presentation of my holistic education approach, which I try to teach and to live as well. So my goal is to understand the complexity of our ecosystem, and to develop social solutions in, with, and through arts. And my approach is to work transdisciplinary, and I combine experiences of studies on geography, politology, urban and regional planning, cultural diversity, degrowth, community arts, as well as experiences of living labs, of transition processes in the society of especially industrial countries. And as I said, I'm just started to give lectures on this topic, and first of all got this first lectures with students on cultural pedagogics in Niederrhein, as I said. But I can imagine that students from sociology, especially on the global creative class, can be interested in this, especially in musicology as well, like on studies on cultural diversity and ecomusicology, but as well students from the transdisciplinary transformation design. So this is the point how I have made up my goal, my academic approach, and then the audience. And yes, this is it.
Super. Oh, thanks for sharing that. That's great. And thinking back, about inspiring teachers as you've gone through your own academic career, is there anyone that stands out, or someone that had a major impact on you personally? I know when I look back over my own school and education, there's always a couple of people that stand out in your memory and think, wow, if I'd not met that person, my life would have been very different. Is it the same for you also?
Yeah, well, there are a couple of persons who inspired me, but in the way of teachers, as I said, there were two music teachers who opened for me the whole world of music, and they inspired me to open my ears and to open my brain, coming from a works family, coming from Poland, where we were like blocked not to travel too much, and not having the resources to travel and to get so much information. So it was very often open-minded. And then I think my step to do the studies of geography and meeting so many people and travel a lot was not a teacher, but I think the life is a teacher as well, if you're around and if you open yourself up. So yeah, but the two music teachers for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Very good, very good. And we have a question actually from Facebook as we're live streaming. And the question is, how does the post-migrant theory respond to today's EU policies excluding migrants? Thinking about Moria and Bosnia, for example.
Well, this is a very, very interesting question and a very deep question. I don't know how the European Union is thinking about post-migrant society. The thing that I can say is that, for example, for academic studies on post-migrant society, there's almost no money for it to do any studies on it, or to get deeper into the research, so we can see all these aspects in another perspective. We live in a mainstream, academic approach, and the turn gonna come maybe if we research deeper, but it's a very niche topic, so there is no EU statement to the post-migrant society on migrants. Well, that's what I know as far as I know. Yeah.
Okay. And what's your take on what's happening in Moria and Bosnia personally?
Yeah, for sure. It's horrible what's happening there. When we came from Poland, we had to stay as well, like for 3 weeks in the so-called migrant camps, which were very well equipped, I have to say, and they took care of us. And there were a lot of people coming from the eastern countries in this time, 89, 90, and it was like, I don't know, we stayed with a couple of families in one room, and I have this personal experience with it. I know how it feels to be in such a camp. But it was, as I said, only for 3 weeks, and it was well equipped. So to have this all the time, not having the possibility to leave there and being in a process where you don't know what is going to happen the next day, it's horrible. And I'm very much interconnected here in Bonn with the CI Watch colleagues who are working there, and we're trying to help wherever we can. We play with my community music orchestra on all the demonstration, Black Lives Matters, and all the demonstration for CI. We made a CI concert, and this is so much we can do here. There is, some of us try to go to the politics, some of us try to be try to work in NGOs, and I try to work through arts on these topics. For me, it was always clear that when I will open up the space for meeting cultures, I will open up the brains of, or the perspectives of many peoples. This is my approach to open up spaces, and so I'm very much into this topic, and I'm feeling with the people there, and I hope we're going to find a solution very soon on the European level. And
thank you. I mean, the theme today, on World Teachers Day is very much teachers leading in crisis, reimagining the future is what's been stated, and I think that you seem to be a fine example of that, and taking steps forward. Let's just wrap up with, how can people actually find you, and what would you request people do after listening to this talk? So first of all, where can people find your website or Facebook? What's the best address to go to?
Yeah, the best address is to go to my website. It's called taximundial.com. And there you find all the information about the events, about the Beethoven project, about new projects which will come up in the next future.
So that is taximundial.com. So taxi as it's usually written, TAXI, and then M for mother, U,
and there is
a hyphen. Sorry.
Yeah.
So taxi hyphen or minus mundial, M for mother, U, N for Nokia, DJAL.com. Taxi-mundial.com. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
And I can find everything there. And then if for our audience listening today, or maybe people watching this back a week from now or a month from now, how can people help?
Well, I'm now focusing more and more to work with community music on citizens' assemblies, and I think citizens' assemblies are our next upgrade of democratic participation. And I don't know if everybody knows what citizen assemblies are. They can be found, for example, on your city's level, or on your quarter where you live, your small local quarter, like to say, like in Spanish you say barrio. So let's start with the city's level. The idea of citizen assemblies is to have 100 people talking about an aspect of the city, or a problem of the city. And these people are not elected, or these people are not said, I want to be part of it, but these people are allotted randomly. And this experience already was made in different countries. For example, the one biggest, most famous one is Ireland on national level, and they were talking about homo marriage, and it became very positive that the homo marriage was then allowed in Ireland. And these citizens' assemblies are going to be for sure here in Germany, and hopefully in the whole European countries as well, a new upgrade of democratic participation, because we need to talk with each other, we need to see each other, we need to break down the barriers which came out through social media and through different economic aspects. And I see the democratic upgrade through the citizens' assemblies. And I'm working now on the project where we're gonna implement community music aspects and projects into this, like drum circles, or writing, or rapping. And yeah, I hope that in 1 month everybody going to know about citizen assemblies.
Perfect. Okay. Good, good. Well, thank you so much, Darius, again for joining us. I hope you'll listen to the rest of the live stream.
Yeah.
If you have questions, you can write them also on the Facebook page. And for anyone listening on the Facebook live stream, pop questions down. We'll take them as they come through and quiz our guests for you. And thanks for joining us again on World Teachers Day.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Keep learning, keep educating, and doing all the good things you do. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everybody.
All right, and in a few moments, we have a fresh guest from the Human Hive. We'll be back in just a few moments. Thank you. Welcome back. I'm Ray Gibson from Art27. We're a platform for artists, arts educators, and arts organisations working in Europe and beyond, sharing stories, cultural programmes, raising awareness of critical issues such as social inclusion. And we're joined in a moment by the Human Hive, which is very much aligned with our philosophy as well. It's October 5th, 2020, World Teachers' Day. And we do have some great speakers and projects to share with you. We're streaming live on Facebook, so if there are questions, you can write them there in the chat. We'll pick them up and do our best to answer them. And it's time to welcome Kate McAllister. Welcome, Kate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to meet you.
Good. And where are you today, Kate?
I am in Dominican Republic today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
So is it wet and rainy like the Netherlands or not at all?
Not at all. No, it's warm and sunny here today. Hot and sunny, actually.
Okay. So please, can you tell us all about the Human Hive? How did this start? What are you working on? Where is it heading?
Sure. So the Human Hive started back in 2015. We responded to the refugee, it was called the refugee crisis in 2015, but a large number of people seeking refuge in Europe had made it to the north of France, which is just obviously neighbours with the UK. And I wanted to do something with my skills and my network of people to be supportive to those who were arriving kind of in my neighbourhood, if you like.
Yeah.
And as a teacher, I came up with this idea of providing a mobile education project. And the idea was to buy a double-decker bus and to turn it into a solar-powered school and
Wow.
to take it to the camp in Calais. And so that's where it all kind of started. We got a group together, we crowdfunded for a bus, we bought one on eBay, and we kind of gathered together all the people that had the right skills and knowledge that we would need, and we turned it into a solar power school, and it went to Calais, and it was fantastic. And while we were there, we developed a way of teaching. I'd been working on this previously in the UK, but a way of teaching inclusively, a way of asking everybody who's there to share their skills and experience and knowledge with one another, like a learning exchange. And that kind of grew, and it turned into a training program for volunteers who could also share their skills in this way. And then it grew again to work with corporates and university students and all kinds of different people who wanted to share their skills and knowledge. And that's how it kind of grew into the Human Hive, really. We are now a global network of individuals and organizations who want to make the world a more welcoming place. And we do that by sharing what we know and what we have with one another.
Fantastic. So it's grown from a double-decker bus to this global organization. I think we have a video that will also help this hit home. Can we show that video now? Ask my colleagues at Art27 if they can stream this. I think we have a video ready to roll from the Human Hive.
One of the reasons
Let's
people
see
keep
this
coming
now.
back to the Human Hive is because you come thinking you're going to give something, and what you don't realise is you get 100 times more than you give.
The Human Hive has been co-created by myself and Kate over the last 4 years, and we've created it because we want to create a movement where people work with each other rather than for each other.
I was watching, again, stories about the refugee crisis and said, why isn't anyone doing anything about that? And I came up with this silly idea to buy a bus on eBay and turn it into a school, and I thought it was a crazy idea and no one would want to join in.
It was an idea to take a double-decker bus to the refugee camp in Calais and support the people there with an education project.
And now, 4 years later, we've trained 600 volunteers in the same methodology that I developed with my team on the bus.
I met Darren 3 years ago, and I decided to ask him if it was possible for me after my degree to be part of it as an intern during my Erasmus traineeship. So he said, yes, of course, come join.
Last year, me and Melissa took the crisis passing van and we drove through France, Italy and Greece, and we ran workshops and we met people and we talked to people.
We heard about each other because I'm an artist and I've participated in a few of their programs. I couldn't wait to get here.
It's growing and growing and growing. I'm really proud of what we've done, but it's really to do with all the people who work with us.
Each person that joined in brought their skills, their talents, their enthusiasm, and we grew bigger. And so now we're the Human Hive.
When you see that something can be done better or is not working, or you prefer to help someone instead of just sitting on your chair, you want to join the Human Hive.
It's given me a framework for entering new spaces and feeling comfortable and being able to offer myself in the best way.
You are enough, exactly the way that you are. The skills that you have that you may not think are valuable will be valuable for someone else.
And there's a moment when they realise that actually all they have to do is be there. There's like a magic that happens.
Bringing people together, anything can happen. Anything positive can happen.
I would say the common thread between the different kinds of organisations and people who have come to us in the Human Hive is that they all want to do something to support other people. We're very lucky tonight to have the Smiley movement with us, and they have a very similar ethos to us.
Just my life is now brimming over with amazing people who want to do good in the world. And that's not the message we always get every day when we turn on the television.
In a world that is falling apart and in all sorts of different ways, I feel that we're all looking to reconnect.
We're often told that we can't, that we're not special enough, or we don't have exactly the right thing. And so the Human Hive is getting the message out there that it's not about that. It's about showing up, doing the best that you can with what you have today, and learning from one another.
We don't have to solve everything ourselves. We all have our small piece of the patchwork, and if we join together, then each of those small pieces makes a bigger piece.
That's the way to do something more.
Oh, that was great. Thanks for sharing that video. And it reminds me that we're also streaming on YouTube, not just Facebook. My colleagues have pointed out. So there you go. So after 5 years, Kate, this started with the double-decker bus in 2015. We're in 2020 now, coming to the end of this year. What kind of impact have you seen from the Human Hive?
Gosh, all kinds of impact. So we had the direct impact of all of the refugees and migrants that we helped in Calais, and then in Italy, and then across the Balkans. We trained 600 volunteers in person in the first couple of years, and they've traveled all over the world to support people with whatever it is that they want to learn: language learning, skills learning, all kinds of different things. And we also made an online course with Cambridge English, which reached 8,000 educators worldwide. So our model of education is about inclusion, it's about safety. All human beings need safety, a sense of belonging and purpose in order to thrive, in order to be fully human. And so that's what our training does, is it teaches people how to kind of radiate safety around them. So that when they're with somebody, even if that person is going through something really challenging, it feels safe to be together. What you do in that space isn't as important as how it feels to be together in that space.
Right.
And so what we're doing is kind of trying to spread that message to people. You don't need to be something special. You just need to be you and willing to open up a space to be with somebody else.
Lovely. And have you seen some of the students come back as volunteers and roll back into the program maybe?
Yes, we have. So I met a few actually, which is lovely, but some of the original students, I'll tell you one story. I've got hundreds, but I'll pick one. We had one student that we met. He was a young man in Calais, and he wanted to be a software engineer. And at that point, he had absolutely nothing and was living in a tent. And I thought, oh, good heavens, good luck. I really hope this happens for you. I'm not sure that it will, but good luck. And he worked really hard on his English, and he worked really hard on his French. And then I got a telephone call about a year later to say he'd made it to London. And we helped to get him into a program called Code Your Future. It's an amazing organization that helps young people learn coding skills so they can get jobs in all kinds of industries, software design industries. And he graduated, And one of the first things that he did as part of his graduation program was he worked with us on developing an app that supports our teacher volunteers.
Oh,
So
right.
he came to Paris with us to visit we did an exhibition with the tech refugees in Paris, and he came with us and was part of the team. So we've got some original refugees who work with us as translators when we need to go and do something. They're kind of part of the gang. Like, everybody who joins the Human Hive becomes part of it. It's not a kind of a unidirectional, it's not one group helping another. It's everybody working together for a common purpose, which is to make the world feel more welcoming. And we all need that. I mean, everybody needs that.
The Hive is a good name for that philosophy. I like it. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
For the common good. Very nice. And it says on your website you're going through a bit of a transformation at the moment. What's happening there?
Yeah, we are. So we've spent the last 5 years kind of starting, iterating, trialing, making things work, making things better, checking the impact. And now we have a kind of a whole ecosystem. We work with universities, we work with schools, we work with businesses. So our old website just kind of reflected the beginning of what we were doing, working with refugees and migrants. But now it's grown much bigger than that. So we need to redo our website. But if people want to find out more about who we are, they can join the Human Hive. There's a virtual network of people. There's about 400 or 500 people in there now, and it's on Mighty Networks. And it's free. You could just join, say who you are, see who we are, join in the chats and the opportunities to do interesting things in the world.
All right. So how do people find this? Can you tell us the
Mighty
website address?
Networks. So if you Google Mighty Networks, it's got a black M. Lots of people are already in Mighty Networks. There's tens of thousands of Mighty Networks of different things that you're interested in. And then you just type the Human Hive into the search engine and you'll see us. Right.
Okay. So that's a macro site you're a part of as well.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. And what's coming up in the new year? So if we look forward, as this year's been tricky for a lot of things.
It has been tricky for a lot of things. So we've gone in a great big circle, looking at how we can support people to meet one another, to kind of reach across the barriers that separate people and connect. And now the reason I'm in the Dominican Republic is because I've just opened a school.
Right.
If we want this to really take hold and spread, we need to catch people when they're young. We need to bring people together while they're still young, so that those connections form in a natural way. And I happened to be in Dominican Republic. I was researching different types of I've always been a teacher, so teaching is my thing. And I train teachers. And so what we're doing is opening our first Hive school here in Dominican Republic, where you can come. Children can come and learn.
Any specific
So our
age?
youngest student is 3, and our eldest is 12 currently, but we're going to go all the way up to secondary.
And how many students?
Currently we have 13, because it's COVID.
Oh, wow.
And we have to stay. And we're about to open up in January. That's part of the reason why the website is changing, is we're opening up to students who want to join from other parts of the world at distance.
Right. Got it. Okay. Lovely. And how many teachers are part of that? Is it mainly you driving this at the moment, or you have people helping you?
It's mainly me. We've got a handful of volunteers. So one of our volunteers has just returned to the UK. He did our training inside the Human Hive, and then he came over and spent a month here. So if you are interested in doing something pretty cool, actually, I have to say, we're going to be looking for more teachers in January. So there's a team of about 5 of us at the moment. We've got parent volunteers, we've got teacher volunteers, it's local people, it's a community, it's the Hive, right? Everybody gives just as much as they can, and that's how it gets put together.
That's great. And we've got the website address here, the-human-hive.mn, like Mighty Networks.co. So the-human-hive.mn.co. That's how people can find you.
Yeah, and if you're on Instagram, you can find us on Instagram, and then all the links are in the bio. That's probably
okay. What's your Instagram handle?
And you can look at the pictures. At the.human.hive.
At the.human.hive. Okay, great stuff. Well, yeah, I'm drawn in. I'm definitely going to dive into that a lot deeper today. Thank you for sharing, and success with the school as it grows. And I hope you get more local and international students. And as you grow your new webpage and community, and yeah, a fantastic project. Thanks so much for sharing. And
Pleasure.
I hope people will follow you and track your progress.
Yes.
Thanks for
Yes, it
joining
would
us
be
on World
lovely to have
Teachers Day.
some more teachers join. Absolutely. You don't have to be a qualified teacher, coach, mentor. Everybody has something they can offer.
Great. That's very inclusive. Like it. Good stuff. Well, thanks again, Kate. Have a great rest of the day and evening, and talk soon.
And thank you for everything that you do as well. And thank you for having me on today.
Brilliant. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Ray Gibson from Art27. We're a platform for artists, arts educators and arts organisations working in Europe and beyond, sharing stories, cultural programmes and raising awareness of critical issues such as social inclusion. Today is the 5th of October 2020 and it is World Teachers Day. There's some great projects already that we've shared, and we've just seen a lovely video, the Groove Forward trailer video from Music for Social Transformation, which is something our next guest is working on. Juan David Garzon, welcome. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Ray. How are you? How is the audience? Nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks for recognizing our audience who can't answer back unless
Maybe they can put some chats, I guess.
Exactly. So people watching on YouTube and Facebook, you can write to us and let us know your questions, thoughts, comments, and yeah, feel invited to connect. So Juan, can you tell us more about Music for Social Transformation? How did this come about? What exactly you're working on? Let our audience get to know all of these themes. I can see a nice ukulele in the background, so I can see the musical influence.
True. Yes, thanks for the question. My background starts something like 17 years ago. I come originally from Colombia. Now I'm living in the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. And I started my teaching career at the Javeriana University in Bogota. That's where I also did my bachelor's studies in music. And I had the fortune of receiving further education in music pedagogics and music teaching from the university. And I saw myself very quickly involved with projects that had to do with social inclusion, mainly there are many peripheral neighborhoods in Bogota where they don't have very good access to opportunities, and kids don't have much access to education and music education. So together with the university, I was leading many different projects to bring music to those schools, and mostly to give tools to local music teachers and into how to use music as a tool to connect with their students. Mm-hmm. And in many cases in these neighborhoods or in these schools, we would have students that would come from conflicting regions in Colombia. Back then, we were still having loads of migrants coming from the provinces to the big cities because they were fleeing from the armed conflict in many different regions. So these students already were having trouble connecting to this new place where they were. And this was kind of like my start. I kept on working on many different projects in Bogota until I moved to Norway to continue my studies, to further into my studies. And later on, when I was traveling to Germany and continuing my studies, I started to work with, that was actually the moment where many people coming from war zones were arriving to Europe, and I could use my previous knowledge and my previous experience to work with related projects using music as a tool to connect people and as a tool to allow people to express their emotions. Basically, because that's, for me, the way that I have been doing it all my life. I have always had a little bit of a hard time expressing my emotions through words, through basically through the spoken language, and I've used music as a way to channelize or to let go of how I feel, and I've used that same technique to connect with others and to support them into coming in contact with their emotions and letting things go in a creative way. Mm-hmm. So since 2014, I have been involved with such projects mainly in Germany, working with kids orchestras, working in neighborhoods and areas where many people from different cultures and different backgrounds have been somehow thrown in closed neighborhoods, and sometimes they even have problems between each other because they come from very different cultures. And through music orchestras for kids, and I have been working on that subject, especially with this organization that gave me this first chance to experience this, and this organization in northern Germany called Tontalente. And through that network, I started expanding and growing and doing all sorts of other projects. Now I'm living in the Netherlands, but working still with Tontalente on a remote basis, and now connected with other organizations in Europe, and with PPLG in Greece, and with Musicians Without Borders, with some of their different projects here in Europe.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting to hear your experience back in Colombia as well, and to recognize those common causes that you mentioned. Bringing that experience from Colombia, recognizing when you said you were in Finland or Norway, and what was going on in Europe, and the common cause being conflict. And it's interesting as well that in Colombia, it sounded like people were being displaced from an internal conflict within the country, and this also happens in Europe. And it's not just people going across borders and having to find a new home. It's also people being displaced within the country and leaving a city where it's dangerous and having to find refuge somewhere else within that country. But yeah, the common cause being conflict and war. And it's easy to forget that when we only look at the results on the news and we see people in a camp, and now they're wearing the label as a refugee, but it's a war crisis. It's a war caused situation that these people are living through. Okay. And a tone talent in Germany, that's for teenagers, is it, that you're working with there?
Yeah, with this organization, we work with many different age groups and types of groups. And the work that I have been doing have always been with teenagers and children, and so basically all the projects that I'm involved are aimed to teenagers and to children. So this some of the images that you saw in that little trailer before our conversation, those were basically gathered throughout a series of projects that we do, very focused on working on different subjects, like, for example, how we connect with nature through music, using music as a connector.
Right.
Or, for example, how we experience democracy in our everyday life. So we basically design workshops and basically long weeks for these teenagers, where we explore and we basically do our research based on arts. So we use the arts to explore and to research how do we relate with different subjects like those that I mentioned. And we try to and manage to also not talk about those concepts in a conceptual way, but we try to really experience them within the dynamics of music making. So, for example, in an orchestra setting, you have many of social dynamics that happen in everyday life. So decision making also happens when you produce music, when you are on a group environment. So we basically use the music as a mirror for social interaction. And there we use all those dynamics to help us reflect on how those dynamics happen in everyday life. And so how can we better take those decisions like in that project aimed about democracy, and for example that other to reconnect with the pulse of the earth. So we basically went out and explored many different nature areas, and that was after a long corona kind of small lockdown for for the kids and the teenagers, and for them it was such an interesting and important process to be out and to really breathe the fresh air, and to do many different music activities that would help us kind of go deeper into that state, like mental state.
Yeah, it's amazing how music can touch you far more than words at times, and the connection that you feel with people when we play together, or as an audience and as a performer, it's magic, isn't it? So yeah, it can certainly overcome barriers, and it can be a proxy for building a community that can carry on. That's fantastic. And I've read about you being involved in a project in Central Africa as well, a 3-year project that's coming up. Is that right?
True. Together with the IUCN, which is a very big conservation organization that works in many different places of the world, they are basically working in the conservation area of the Virunga Park in Central Africa, and all the neighboring countries that have many different youth groups. Those young people, they need a way to somehow regain their voice, because the political and basically the political situation is very complex, and sometimes, as expressed by the IUCN, those youngsters don't have a real way to connect with the surrounding nature, and sometimes they don't see the park and the nature that surrounds them as the very main resource that it's going to be lasting them for decades, for a long time. And it's not only to a place where you extract, but a place where you give. So the idea was, or is, to use many different disciplines to help those youth groups to better understand each other, and to understand the different actors that take place in the surroundings, like the park rangers and the local authorities, and using sports and music and radio was a way to give cohesion to that whole discussion that's happening there, and give the chance for these youth groups to regain their voice and to regain their their own experience of the place where they live. So the idea is to go further with this project. The project was applying for European Commission funding. Unfortunately, that we just recently heard that the funding is not possible to acquire, but we are going to look for other ways of continuing the project, because to us this project has a lot of meaning, because this area is the home of so many species and so many plants and nature that needs to be preserved.
Right. Yeah, it's good you don't give up on it. Great. Okay. And you have some alternatives for funding, or you're just going to try to bootstrap and do everything anyway, or how are you going to get over this?
Well, the project is so big and it's so complex that really needs many different sources of funding.
Okay.
So we are right now looking into how it can be possible. It can come through and be possible. because actually this news we heard actually really last week, at the end of last week, and it was a little bit, of course, a little bit disappointing, but in any case, we believe so much in this project that we need to find a way to move forward also as a consortium of organizations that are working on this project.
Yeah.
So it needs to continue.
Yeah. Well, I hope it does. I hope it does. Anyone listening, if you can help, please reach out to Juan. You can find Juan at juandavidgarzon.com, which is JuanDavidGarzon.com, juandavidgarzon.com.
True.
Now, Juan, you're our last guest today, so you get the privilege of helping us wrap up. So if we zoom out a little bit and think about World Teachers' Day, if I may put you on the spot, what do you think
Please.
is the role of a teacher in modern times?
Well, this is a great question and yeah, very big question. But I guess in these modern times, and this is basically a little bit of my philosophy of education, and it is really how we stimulate and properly motivate our students into taking over, into becoming the people that they want to be, and so using whatever it is, our field of study or our whatever that we teach, it's basically for me bringing out the best out of us, and of course bringing the motivation so that those students can really come to their highest potential or fulfill those dreams and goals. So I really focus on how I motivate my students, how I keep, because in this world and at this current times, it's easy to get demotivated with so many things. And especially coming from what I do with music, music is a thing that it's like a slow cook kind of discipline. It needs time. It needs lots of devotion and lots of basically practice and time. And sometimes we forget that the good things comes with lots of effort and time, and
Practice, yeah.
And practice, and sometimes we kind of want to expect results on a very fast pace, and sometimes music learning in nowadays can be very frustrating because it's still on a very slow pace. So motivation is this thing that, at least from my point of view, allows us teachers to bring forward all that kind of knowledge, and I basically use that after a person that I very much admire, Katana Bravomalo, who she was my secondary music teacher, and I actually very much follow her style of teaching, and I look forward to being as much as I can like her, because she was really this person that could motivate students in so much that students would actually do everything on their own, and she was more like a guide. She was more like a like a coach.
Empowered. Yeah,
exactly. More like a coach, because the knowledge, you have to discover it for yourself. So the teacher can only show you the multiple doors where you can go as a student, but you as a student actually have to take the step. But if the teacher gives you the right motivation and the right direction, you won't hesitate to take that further step. So that's kind of like how I see it.
Well, I hope that you continue to live up to her fine example, and it seems so. And you said you don't express yourself as well in words as you do in music, so I would love to hear you play sometime. And I'm sure our guests have very much enjoyed hearing your story. And yeah, this has been World Teachers Day from Art27. Thanks to all of our guests, and finally to Juan.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to the team of Art27.
Yeah, well said. You can find Art27 on art27.art, appropriately enough. So wherever you are today, keep learning. Remember your teachers as they guide us through good times and bad, and they're shining lights and great examples, and they need our support and help. They have the bandwidth of students, especially the youth, who are going to take us on this journey for the future. So thanks again for joining, and we'll talk to you soon.